My girlfriend rolled her eyes and said, "You should block every woman in your life, because I deserve 100% of your attention." When I hesitated, she sneered, "If you don't do it now, then you clearly don't love me." I pulled out my phone, smiled, and said, "You're right, which is why I'm blocking you instead." I met Sarah during my junior year at the University of Washington in Seattle. She was a psychology major with a sharp wit and a smile that could light up even the gloomiest Seattle day. Our relationship began with late-night study sessions at Sazalo Library, coffee dates at Café Allegro, and weekend hikes in the Cascades. It felt like I had found someone who truly understood me. After graduation, we decided to move in together. We found a cozy apartment in Capitol Hill, a neighborhood known for its vibrant culture and eclectic mix of residents. Life was good. I landed a job as a software developer at a tech startup, while Sarah began working as a counselor at a local community center. As time went on, I noticed subtle changes in Sarah's behavior. She became increasingly possessive, questioning my interactions with female colleagues and friends. At first, I dismissed it as insecurity, reassuring her that she was the only one for me. But her demands grew more unreasonable. One evening, after a long day at work, I came home to find Sarah sitting on the couch, her arms crossed and a stern look on her face. "We need to talk," she said. "Sure," I replied, setting down my bag. "What's on your mind?" "I've been thinking," she began, "I want you to block every woman in your life, friends, coworkers, even acquaintances. I deserve 100% of your attention." I was taken aback. "Sarah, that's a bit extreme, don't you think? My relationships with others are purely platonic." She rolled her eyes and sneered, "If you don't do it now, then you clearly don't love me." A heavy silence filled the room. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. This wasn't the Sarah I fell in love with. Her jealousy had morphed into something toxic. I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and smiled. "You're right," I said, unlocking my screen. She leaned in, expecting me to start blocking contacts. Instead, I navigated to our messaging app and blocked her. Her eyes widened in shock. "What are you doing?" "Sarah," I said calmly, "I can't be in a relationship built on distrust and control. I think it's best we go our separate ways." She stood up abruptly, knocking over the coffee table. "You're choosing them over me?" "No," I replied, "I'm choosing my freedom and sanity." The next few days were a blur. Sarah moved out, leaving behind a trail of memories and unanswered questions. I immersed myself in work, seeking solace in the logical world of coding. Months passed, and I found myself frequenting a small bookstore in Pike Place Market. It was there I met Emily, an aspiring writer with a passion for classic literature. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, and for the first time in a while, I felt a genuine connection. One evening, as we walked along the waterfront, I shared my past experiences with her. "That sounds intense," she said, squeezing my hand. "But it seems like you've grown from it." "I have," I nodded. "I've learned the importance of mutual respect and trust in a relationship." As the sun set over Puget Sound, I realized that sometimes letting go of the wrong person makes room for the right one to come along. Things were calm for a while after Sarah left. Quiet. Peaceful. I got used to the silence in my apartment. I thought I had closed that door for good. But people like Sarah don't stay gone for long. 3 months after I blocked her, I got an email at work. Subject line: "You don't get to forget me." No message in the body. Just a photo. It was a picture of my building's front entrance, taken at night. From the angle, it was clear she was sitting in her car outside. I froze. My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to her in months. I hadn't replied to anything. But now I knew she hadn't really left. She had just shifted to the shadows. I didn't reply. I reported the email to HR and told my manager just in case anything weird happened. He took it seriously. My company beefed up building security for a bit. I started walking out the back exit. Then she started showing up places. Always at a distance. Once, I saw her across the street while I was waiting in line at a food truck downtown. Another time, I was leaving the gym, and I caught her reflection in the glass door as she ducked behind a car. I felt like I was in some cheap thriller movie, but this wasn't fiction. This was my life. I tried to move on. I really did. I kept seeing Emily, the writer I met at the bookstore. Things with her were easy. No drama, no mind games. We had long walks through Discovery Park, sat under the stars, read each other poetry that didn't rhyme. She was the opposite of Sarah. But paranoia started eating at me. One day, I came home and my door was slightly open. Nothing was taken, but my drawer was pulled out and all my socks were scattered on the floor. I knew I didn't leave it like that. There was no forced entry. My landlord said the security cameras had glitched that day. I changed the locks anyway. It got worse. Emily got a strange message on Instagram. A fake account. It said, "He's still mine. Ask him about July 14th. July 14th was nothing. We watched a movie and had Thai food. But Emily looked spooked. She asked if I had been honest about everything. I told her yes. She nodded, but I could see doubt creep in. Sarah was getting to her. Then Emily started pulling back. Canceling plans. Saying she needed space. I didn't blame her. Who wants to sign up for someone else's crazy baggage? The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I was walking to my car after work, and my windshield was shattered. In big, red marker, across the hood, someone had written, "Liar." I snapped. I filed a police report and gave them everything: emails, photos, the Instagram messages, all the weird encounters. They said without a direct threat or evidence it was her, their hands were tied. Just like that. I was on my own again. I went quiet after that. Deleted all social media. Changed my number. Only kept a burner for work and emergencies. I stopped seeing Emily. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Sarah had poisoned everything. I thought she'd lose interest once I disappeared. But I was wrong. One day, I walked into a coffee shop in Ballard and heard someone laughing. Loud. Uncomfortable. I looked up. Sarah was sitting with a group of people. She looked right at me. Smiled. Leaned in. Whispered something to the girl next to her. They both laughed again. And then she pulled out her phone. A minute later, my phone buzzed. It was a new number. All it said was, "Found you," smiley face. I left without my drink. That was the moment I realized she wasn't just angry. She was obsessed. And she wasn't going to stop until she ruined every good thing in my life. But I wasn't about to let that happen. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the floor of my apartment, back against the wall, lights off, phone in my hand, waiting. For what? I didn't know. Another message? A knock on the door? I wasn't even sure if she was still outside. I just knew that something had shifted. The next day, I called my older brother. He lives in Spokane, a solid 4-hour drive from Seattle. We hadn't talked much in recent years, busy lives, different paths, but he picked up on the first ring. I didn't sugarcoat anything. Told him everything, from Sarah's demands to the email with my building photo, all the way to the marker on my car. He didn't say much, just asked, "You armed?" I wasn't. He told me to come stay with him for a while. Said I needed space to breathe, think. I packed a bag and left that night. The drive across the mountains was long and cold. I kept checking my mirrors, half expecting her car to suddenly appear behind me. But nothing happened. When I finally pulled into my brother's driveway, I felt a little safer. A week went by. No messages. No sightings. My mind started to settle. Maybe she had moved on. Maybe she found a new obsession. I didn't dare go back to Seattle yet, but for the first time in months, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. Then my brother got a call at work from someone pretending to be from HR, asking for an emergency contact update on me. He told them to screw off and hung up. But when he called me, he sounded rattled. "I think she's trying to find you again." That night, I checked my email for the first time in days. There was one new message. No subject. No text. Just a video file. I almost didn't click it, but curiosity beat fear. It was footage from inside a grocery store. I could see myself wearing the same hoodie I packed when I left. It was from 2 days ago. I was buying eggs. The footage zoomed in slowly frame by frame on my back, then my face as I turned around. She had been there, watching. I couldn't breathe for a full minute. My brother told me to go to the police again. I did. The Spokane PD was more responsive than Seattle had been. They took the video, the emails, everything. But unless she showed up in person or made a threat, they still couldn't arrest her. They said they'd keep an eye out. I didn't feel any better. A few days later, something happened that flipped everything. I got an anonymous message on Signal. Just a text, "You're not the only one." Attached was a phone number and a name, Ava. I debated for hours whether to call. In the end, I sent a message. "Hi. I got your number from a Signal message. Is this Ava?" 3 minutes later, "Yes. I've been dealing with her too. Can we talk?" We met in a public library in Spokane, in one of those tiny side rooms you can book. Ava was in her early 30s, soft-spoken, looked exhausted. She told me she dated Sarah back in college. It ended badly. The same pattern: possessiveness, control, stalking. She had moved 3 times in the last 5 years. Changed jobs twice. Sarah kept finding her. What finally made her stop? I asked. She didn't, Ava said. She just shifted. "I think you were next after me." It clicked. Sarah didn't date people. She collected them, controlled them, broke them when they stopped obeying, then moved on, but never completely. Ava handed me a folder. Inside were screenshots, photos, court documents. She had tried to get a restraining order once. It was denied, lack of evidence. But the paper trail was there. That's when we decided to fight back. We gathered everything. My emails, her videos, Ava's files. We hired a lawyer. Ava's cousin, actually, who worked in private security. He had connections. Real ones. He pushed the case harder than anyone had before. And then, the twist I didn't see coming. We found out Sarah wasn't acting alone. Turns out, she had help. A friend. A roommate from years back. This person had access to data, old logins, social media info, even a work badge from a job near my apartment. They had been feeding her info, helping her track me and Ava both. It wasn't just stalking anymore. It was a coordinated, messed-up obsession game between 2 people with too much time and no boundaries. Now the game changed. This wasn't just about Sarah anymore. It was about stopping both of them. For good. Ava and I went quiet. No posts, no check-ins, no patterns. I worked remote from my brother's house. She moved in with a cousin out in the woods outside Spokane. We stopped using our real names online. We got burner phones. We pretended to disappear. Meanwhile, the lawyer dug deeper. He found out Sarah's friend was named Mallory. They had lived together for 2 years in Portland before Sarah moved to Seattle. Mallory had access to Sarah's phone, her passwords, and her secrets. She was the one who handled the tech side, fake accounts, spoofed numbers, camera bugs. She was the ghost in the machine. They weren't just stalking us for revenge. They were playing a long game. Power, control, maybe something worse. Mallory used to work in IT for a small private investigation firm. That explained the video from the grocery store. Explained why they always knew where we were. We compiled everything: evidence, timelines, phone records. And then something snapped at me. I was tired of hiding. Tired of being scared. I told the lawyer we were done playing defense. It started with a fake post. We created a Reddit account with a name we knew Sarah would recognize, something from her past that only she would catch. The post was a bait story about a man getting back together with a toxic ex. We made it messy. Emotional. Something she wouldn't resist replying to. She did. 2 days later, the account messaged us, thinking it was just a stranger. Same voice. Same patterns. We tracked her IP. Our lawyer's contact matched it to a location, a house in Tacoma. It was her new place. And it wasn't just hers. Mallory lived there too. We waited until we had everything. Then Ava made the final move. She showed up at their door. Not alone, she brought a cop friend from Spokane who agreed to ride along unofficially. The second Sarah opened the door and saw Ava's face, she slammed it shut. But it was too late. We had the warrant ready. Inside, They found phones, laptops, folders of printed screenshots. There were photos of me and Ava. Notes. A full calendar of our past locations. They even had a whiteboard tracking when we went quiet and how they could trigger us again. They were arrested for stalking, harassment, and illegal surveillance. The DA built a solid case. Mallory flipped first. She broke down fast. Claimed Sarah manipulated her, said she didn't know it would go this far. But the evidence was clear. She helped. She followed. She threatened. Sarah didn't crack. She sat in court and smiled. Calm. Cold. But we watched the smile die when the judge read the sentence. 5 years each. No parole for the first 3. Court-mandated psychiatric evaluations. Permanent restraining orders. We watched from the back row as they were taken away. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. But I felt a weight lift I didn't know I was carrying. Ava and I stayed close for a while, but we drifted like people do. She moved to Denver. Found peace. I moved back to Seattle, but not to Capitol Hill. Somewhere quieter. I kept things simple. Here's where I'll admit I made mistakes too. I ignored early red flags. I let love blind me. I kept things quiet when I should have spoken up sooner. I gave someone full access to my life before really knowing who they were. I didn't protect myself. But I learned. And next time, I won't make the same mistake. This whole thing could have ended with me losing my job, my friends, maybe even my mind. But instead, it ended with justice. And the last message Sarah ever sent me? I'll see you again someday. She was wrong. She won't.